Hi everyone, Kimberly here. It's 2 months now since my PLIF. I had the posterior lumbar interbody fusion at L4, L5, December 9th, 2014, and today is February 7th, my mother's birthday. I just wanted to post an update. I said I was going to do it and put all my videos up on a daily basis. I've definitely been doing them, keeping kind of a video diary for myself, fully intending that I would upload all of them. At this point, since I don't know if anybody's interested at all. If you are, I certainly am more than happy to post them, but maybe the only person who's interested is me. I've definitely utilized them to track my progress, and as I go on week by week, maybe little things I was feeling, sensations, or some nerve issues. I have looked back on my video diaries and been able to say, oh yeah, I remember, I felt that way. And the 2 months has had some ups and downs, mostly ups. I walk every day. I drink lots of water. I'm eating well. I've lost probably 15 pounds. I was pretty sedentary up until the surgery. And just a little bit of background, I had 2 microdiscectomies. My first one was March 2013, and about 4 days later, I reherniated and had to go in for revision surgery. Somewhere within a year's time after that, I reherniated and didn't realize it. I was being seen by a pain management doctor, had never known what pain management was before that, and went through a series of epidural shots and cortisone shots and medications, all kinds of different things. And I just wasn't getting better. So I guess it was almost not quite a year, and I just insisted on an MRI, and the MRI showed a huge herniation, again at the L4, L5. So I'm glad that I was my own advocate on that one, because it was pretty serious. So I didn't know much going into my first 2 surgeries. So when everybody, my neurosurgeon that I had previous, and my pain management doctor, my primary care, everybody was saying, hey, look, you need a fusion. And I just wasn't jumping up and down for that, because it's one of those kinds of surgeries that, you don't come back from. And I don't mean in a bad way. I just mean that, it's a lifelong commitment, and there's a huge recovery. All the doctors that I spoke with, and yes, I went for probably 6 opinions, and 2 out of the 6 said, look, you have a lot of disc left. All of them said I had a lot of disc left, but the 2 that said we could probably do a 3rd microdiscectomy was because I did have a significant amount of disc still there. So they felt maybe it was possible, and because of my age, I'll be 45 in May, that maybe I didn't want to have that kind of commitment and go through that major surgery. But, in March of 2014, my company declared bankruptcy, shut down. And so, previous to that, I hadn't done some of the things that I should have done, physical therapy. And I don't know, I really hadn't fixed myself from the other surgeries. So initially I started interviewing, and I was doing some consulting. But what I realized is, if I don't take this time now to fix my back, then potentially, I'm sorry, I'm outside, so here comes a car, but potentially I would not, be able to do this again. So I looked at this as an opportunity instead of the job loss, and took the time to do the research and get second opinions, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th opinions. And my first 2 surgeries were with a neurosurgeon local here, and a few people that I talked to who knew or had gone to Johns Hopkins and had their surgery, referred me over there. So I went immediately to the director of the neurosurgical department. I really liked him. He said, hands down, I needed a fusion. That just scared the hell out of me, honestly. So I, from there, went to another one at Hopkins, another neurosurgeon, and, you know, he said the same thing. He recommended, if I wasn't quite convinced of that, another doctor. So I did go and see that doctor, and he said, no, you have a lot of disc. We can do a third discectomy. Not a big deal. So, you know, consider your age, and, you know, we'll do a few more tests to see if that's really possible. And I went through with those tests, and, you know, he still felt that it was okay. I was really left, you know, questioning everything that had led me to a spinal fusion, keeping in mind that I was not convinced that I was going to do that. In the meantime, my quality of life was just, you know, downward spiral, and I was taking a lot of medication given to me by my pain management doctor. You know, and just a side note to that, after I had my first two discectomies, in 2-3 weeks, when the pain didn't go away, I was immediately referred to pain management, not knowing anything about it. To me, that's a whole other video that I will do, because I wish I had done things differently. I didn't know what I was getting into, and I was treated by him for quite a long time. I had epidurals, I don't know if I mentioned that before, cortisone shot. I even think I had a Botox shot. Nothing was working, and so when I insisted on the MRI, thank goodness for that. And what I would say is, if you're having any kind of issues, be your own advocate and push for things, because sometimes the doctors won't do that. And I don't know if it's because they're limited by the insurance companies, or they have this bad rap of sending patients for tests that they don't need, but if something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right, and go ahead and push for those things. So anyway, back to what I was going to say is, here I am at my 8-week, 2-month, you know, recovery point. If I had done this video 2 days ago, I would have been jumping up and down, sort of, like, yeah, jumping up and down. I would have said to you, I have been doing just phenomenally well. I have been walking. I was lucky enough, my insurance company covered, when I got home, about 1 month of in-home nursing, which you know, I didn't really need, but nice to have, and twice a week in-home physical therapy. That physical therapy is not your typical, it wasn't like outpatient, where you're really starting to exercise, but there were some very minor, mild types of exercises that really helped me a lot. So I was very glad to have that. And the last thing that she did, you know, getting me walking and all of this, was to how to approach hills. You know, don't lean with your body, proper body mechanics. Don't be afraid of them. I still don't do steep hills, but I, you know, walk anywhere from 2 to 5 miles in a day, and I'd say on average more regularly 3 miles, because you don't want to overdo it either. The only other thing I think I can report is I do have, and I have had since I got home, when I wake up in the morning, I have a very difficult time with my legs. I have to get up, take my medications, move my legs around, do some exercises that the physical therapist showed me how to do. But it takes me, you know, a good 30 minutes to an hour just to get going in the morning. I've done various things and found a few different things that work: drinking lots of water, you know, the moving around, that kind of thing. But this is an issue. My doctor said, at my 6-week, I went and saw him 6 weeks after my PLIF surgery, and he said, yeah, it's a common thing that people complain about, and as time goes by, he said, you know, I should see some improvement there. So that's great. hopefully that happens. In the meantime, I will try to research and investigate to see if there isn't some information out there. I love YouTube. It's a great resource. I used it at the very end. I don't know why I didn't do it before, because I was doing so much, Googling research and WebMD, and next thing you know, you could practically do your own surgery and just tell the doctor what to do, right? I'm sure they love that. But at any rate, yeah, I did so much research. It was ridiculous. And the only thing it did was prolong the inevitable, which after 4 neurosurgeons and 2 orthopedic surgeons, the last orthopedic surgeon really being pivotal, I think I knew in my mind that this is where I was going to go, but I did kick and scream the whole way. But the last orthopedic surgeon that I saw was recommended by my primary care. I'd gone to him and said, hey, look, here's all the information I have. I don't know what to do. I still don't really know what to do. And he said, I'm going to send you to this guy. He's a good friend of mine, and he doesn't like to operate if he doesn't have to. And so if there's any way possible, he will tell you. I already knew at that point that if I was going to have the surgery, I knew I was going to have it at Hopkins with this one particular doctor that I loved. And it wasn't the director, but this guy, I just knew that he was the right one if I was going to have it. So I saw the orthopedic surgeon, and in there about 10 minutes, he had reviewed everything, all of my records and x-rays and, every test in the world. And he came in and he said, look, yes, you have enough disc space, and if you want to do that, you can, but think about your quality of life. We don't know why this disc keeps slipping out of place, and it's a monstrous herniation that is crushing your nerves. So it's your decision, but my recommendation is to have the spinal fusion. I left his office that day, and I got in the car and I cried a little bit, not a big crier, and I knew, it was at that moment that I knew. I drove home and I knew. I just knew I was going to have the surgery. So I had already been on the calendar for December 9th with the doctor I knew would do the surgery if I was going to have it. And I went home, I called him up and I said, okay, keep me on the calendar, I'm ready. And as soon as I did that, I felt, some relief in that I was finally making that decision. So, along with that, comes the days prior to the surgery. I guess I had made that decision on December 2nd when I called him, and I had been on the calendar for 3 weeks, and it was for December 9th. So you can imagine the relief after finally making the decision to do so was the anxiety, right? And the closer we got, the more anxious I got, and I kept thinking, oh my gosh, I don't think I can go through with it. But I will tell you, in that last 5 days, whatever I had left in me to get up every morning and walk was gone. I couldn't do it anymore. And I had to send my son to my parents' house early because I couldn't even drive him back and forth to school anymore. And my chronic pain and this suffering was causing suffering across the board. My poor kid, I just feel terrible that he has had to go through this. So after the surgery, I'm telling you, 2 days, I had some visitors and I didn't have any pain. I didn't have the nerve pain. I didn't have any pain in my back from the disc where it had herniated. The doctor came in and said that he had never seen in all of his 17 years of practicing, and this is what he does, is primarily this kind of surgery. He said he had never seen a herniation so large and just crushing those poor nerves, and he was really worried that I was going to have nerve pain and back pain for the rest of my life. And I'm telling you, I didn't at day 2. I was better day 3. Again, taking the conservative route. A lot of people are out of the hospital in 3 days. I was there 9, 10 days. That was really out of choice, so I don't want to scare anybody about that. But I needed to be there and I needed to get better. I was getting some rehabilitation